Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of UFO in the Know. I'm here today with my co-host and good friend John Barton Hobbs. He is broadcasting from an undisclosed location, which might put his life in danger if he was to say. So we'll do him the favor of not revealing his secret location. But with that, I'll go into our slides today. So I've made some slides. Basically, the aim and goal of these slides is to look at what I call the new wave of disclosure, modern disclosure, which is post-2017. 2017, we had the Tic Tac article, which blew the lid off of ATIP and their study on the Tic Tac. And then after that, we had more and more whistleblowers coming in. So we're going to look at those people, and no personal offense to those people, but somebody who makes outstanding claims, we still have to, I feel, pry into personally who they are, why they would do such a thing, as per, other people clearly haven't done this or haven't done it for a long time. I mean, we do have whistleblowers, but it's not that often. And also, I think we need to look at, if people haven't disclosed this in the past because their life would be in danger, and David Grush and all these other people are disclosing it to Congress, why are they not, why haven't they been assassinated or put in prison or something? But we'll talk about that more as we get into the slides. And with that, I'll progress into the slides. So we have modern ufology, strong progress towards disclosure. Let me back that up. I hate this little stupid window. Modern ufology, strong progress towards disclosure, or is it? So, modern whistleblowers, like I was saying, 2017 bombshell article from the New York Times, glowing auras of black money, reveals ATIP, who is Luis Elizondo's crew that was sort of doing an investigation into the Pentagon's past and secret involvements with UAP or UFOs. And with that, I'll move into... why can't I see you on my screen? Stop sharing. Okay. You still there?
Yeah. So here's the deal, man. Here's what I was thinking, I like how you said no offense to these guys, but at the same time, if they are defrauding the American people, if they are coming out and making outlandish claims that are not true and getting our hopes up, then like we need to,
Right.
we still need to be as excited and as exciting as this topic is for it as we all are, and we're all as we're ready for it. Like kids are ready for the rides at Disneyland, but at the same time, we still need to keep ourselves grounded and understand that some of this stuff may not be real. Just because somebody testified in front of Congress, if Congress, you can't, hardly ever does anybody go down for perjury for anything to Congress, and if they can't disprove it, then we'll never know. Yeah, it's not a lie if they can't disprove it. So these claims are they're serious, but at the same time, like looking at Grush's claims, he's made a lot of claims, but the American people have seen zero information on it, and I don't even know if what the Congress has seen on it. Nobody has any idea what has been shared whatsoever. We don't know if they've received locations of these things. We don't know what they've shared. We just know what we've been told they've shared. So,
yeah, I feel like some of the Congress people kind of give the impression that they know something. they don't they don't say it, but I watched them after they were given a briefing. This was before the NDAA got signed in, so this is a little bit ago. But they walked out of a classified briefing and they got interviewed right after, and a few of them said like, "No, we can't call these aliens. We have to say they're interdimensional beings or something." And
For
some of
non-human
them seemed really
intelligence.
shocked and scared about whatever they learned, but they didn't. Nobody ever, Of course, they didn't clarify what they learned. It was just like very vague. Oh, and there was another one too. It was a Republican congressman. I can't remember exactly when this was, but he got briefed something and he walked out and he said, "Lock your doors at night."
Oh yeah,
You remember
that
that
was
guy?
I thought that was Mitch McConnell. I was pretty sure it was Mitch McConnell.
Really?
It was somebody. It was somebody like some very well known one. You know.
Yeah, he like walked out and he seemed a little shook, and he was like, "Lock your doors at night, and American people deserve to know about this," or something crazy.
I remember that. What is locking my doors gonna do?
Yeah,
You know.
I thought that too. It's like, if these things are so powerful, what's a flimsy
Yeah.
little wooden door going to do to them?
Nothing. I mean, we're talking about interdimensional beings, is what, and that's been said many times, and from my perspective, right, I don't think, I'll tell you the truth, I don't believe in dimensions, right? I don't believe in dimensions because there's one space, outer space, there's items and objects, minerals and planets and energy, you know what I'm saying, in space, in that space. But I don't think that there's an end to that space where we have no evidence of that. And then there being another space touching, the other side of that, like it's not in a box with another box on the other side. There's nothing like that. And that's when I think interdimensional. I think from somewhere else. I feel like, I'm just gonna give my opinion real quick. I feel like they say that some animals can see the Earth's
Magnetic field.
magnetic forces, magnetic field.
Yeah. Heard that.
Some people say that some animals can see that. There's a lot of things that we cannot see with our eyes, and if we can pick it up with say, a FLIR camera or an infrared, or if we can pick it up on a different spectrum of light, or something like that, or some other way of sensing things. So there may be things there that we just can't see. Could be somebody sitting right next to us right now. It's kind of freaky, but you have no idea. You could have no idea.
To tag on that, one time Northrop Grumman released this article saying, "Are there interdimensional beings around you right now without you being aware?" And it was just really odd because, why would Northrop Grumman say that? It was just totally randomish. People kind of talked about it on UFO forums and stuff. And
I don't know if Northrop Grumman himself said it, or just some guy at Northrop Grumman wrote an article or did a study.
It was on Northrop Grumman's website, so they clearly endorse that idea in some fashion, or at least thinking about that idea. But the way I think about interdimensional beings is so what a two-dimensional video game looks like. It's a scroller moving along just left to right. So us in our reality have another dimension, so we can move up, left or right, forward and back, and up and down too. And so if you had something that had higher dimensions, it would pass through our reality kind of looking like a structure that would grow and shrink or kind of twist itself in weird ways. And there are UFO videos where they do that. They seem to be weirdly morphing. And so that's what I think. If there's the higher dimensional beings there,
that's a theory that physicists have come up with for dimensions. They come up with these theories, right? And what kills me about it is physicists are very theoretical, and they'll tell you things like, "Oh, the science of this is solved," but then 10 years later they'll come out with an article something that I've said for, I don't know, the past 10 or 15 years is that time is not real. They'll come out with an article and write an article. Time is may not be real. But the whole time, all these years they've been saying this is the way it is. And if you disagree with them and you haven't spent 20 years studying this subject to disagree with them, to come up with your own theory, you're wrong, or you're stupid, or you don't follow science and all this other stuff. And, they come up with these dimensions, but the very first thing about being in another dimension is that you wouldn't know that other dimension is there. There being another dimension, right? You wouldn't know that it was there, because if you knew that it was there, you'd be able to observe it, but not knowing that it's there, so it's one of those things that, like, I don't believe in the other dimensions, but I believe in other, let's say, other senses, other spectrums of light. I mean, when we observe things from life as we know it, right? Everything we observe is life as we know it. That's why I don't think aliens on other planets are necessarily going to be in the Goldilocks zone of a star. I don't think that every creature senses everything the same way we do. So let's say that there are interdimensional beings. Let's say that we can't see them, but they can interact in our world, and they can see us. Maybe they have different senses. Maybe we're not able to pick up that kind of light wave. Or what if it's not a light wave that we need to be able to see them?
Yeah, that's a very good point. That maybe whole new senses we don't even understand.
Yeah, it may take us another 1,000 years to even figure out how to properly detect these things. I don't know. I mean, there may be things there that so we just have to lean not into our own understanding. Mm-hmm. Anyways, we got off on this giant.
No, that's good. No, I like that thinking. Thinking about the interdimensional beings and how they may be able to have senses to whole other electromagnetic phenomena that we don't realize, or they may sense their environment in a way we don't really think about. If it is totally random, if evolution is just totally random, but the winner on top of the hill survives, maybe it would be totally a different outcome. That's why they say it would be early on. I kind of dismiss the idea of aliens, because they say, well, if there's aliens on other planets, they wouldn't look like us at all. They wouldn't have 2 arms and 2 legs and a head and a mouth and nose and eyes right here. That would be so unlikely that something would evolve that way, because it's like throwing a dart at a giant dartboard. It's totally random every time. So I like that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, people sit around and they say, well, they'll look at these planets through these telescopes, and they'll be like, I can tell what's on this planet based off the color of the light that refracts off of it. No, you can't. You've never been to any other planet. We've barely been to any planets in our solar system. The only one that I'm aware of that we've really gotten observations off of is Mars. We've flown past Pluto. We've dropped something on Venus that didn't last very long. So you don't know what else is in the rest of the universe. The minerals and gases and liquids that are in our solar system, and maybe even some surrounding solar systems, could be completely different, entirely different than what's a million light years away that we're observing. And then people are saying, okay, well, we're as we know it, but they're not including that sentence in there. They're not including the as we know it, because they're saying Goldilocks zones of planets away from stars. Well, that's how we know that life works on our planet. But who is to say that there is not some kind of creature out there that, hey, there's creatures that don't breathe anyway.
Yeah.
But if you go,
say there might be one like made out of metal or stone,
or that breathes ammonium, or something like that. And that may be how their body processes things. You could sit around and say all day, well, that couldn't work. No, it couldn't work here on Earth with life as we know it. But we have no idea if some other alien species that looks like a flying jellyfish, or something that, defies any laws of life and physics as we know it, thrives in an environment filled with methane gas. We don't know that. And it's just something to think about. It's something to think about, and not assume that what we know is how things are going to be in other places.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my theory.
All right, that was a good tangent.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start moving through these slides a little bit. So, first person that we're gonna look at, I think, this guy's like infamous by now. This is the guy that kind of really made a lot of waves with his claims, and of course testified to Congress. So I kind of tend to, things that are testified in front of Congress, yes, you can lie, but I still act like it has more, holds more weight to something you would say in front of Congress than something he would claim just on the news or News Nation or whatever, which at first he was on News Nation and saying all this stuff. And David Grush, he was a member of the UAP task force, which was first, before ATIP, before Elizondo. It was somebody else's project, and he was the NRO component of it, the National Reconnaissance Office. And he, through his investigation, which was, I assume he did similar things, whatever, to what Elizondo did, just investigate all the different departments and everything. But he found a multi-decade UFO. I'm just going to call them UFOs. I don't want to split hairs and say, oh, it's a UIP, UFO. I guess like UIP makes sense. But I feel like UFO has people who know what that is all over the world know what a UFO is. And so he claims that they've been capturing these things, reverse engineering. I don't know if successfully. He said they've done it successfully, but at least have tried. And he said there was biologics. That's another, it's kind of vague. We don't know if biologics means something that's alive or dead. We don't know if that means it was a pile of, a fat turd sitting on the, on the steering wheel. We don't know what that is. Military is misappropriating funds to these secret programs. I feel like that is, if I was doing an investigation in this for Congress, that's where I would start. I'd look at the funds, and then I'd start asking, where did these funds go, and try to trace the funds that went to these programs first. And then, once you get there, it's easy to, you could make a case to the Justice Department, which I hope that's what they're doing. Or I guess they make a case to the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence guy. He claims that people have been hurt, killed, or threatened to protect the secrecy, and he himself was threatened, but he didn't say exactly what it was. I think he described it as brutal tactics, but he didn't say exactly what he went through. So I'll just let you go off from there. What do you make of this guy? What do you make of his claims? Because I think it's got a lot of people's attention. It's got a lot of people's interest, and a lot of people now are starting. We had the testimony of Congress, so if Congress is taking it seriously, it's not ridiculous for an average person to take interest in it now. I feel like it's made it more mainstream. So now you can talk about this at the dinner table, and you don't get snickers and eye rolls as much. People kind of are more interested now. So whether this was real or not, it still got a lot of attention and interest. And that, I think that also begs the question, so if he's bringing a lot of attention and interest to this topic and this idea, is there some other interest or topic that he's trying to get us to ignore, to take our attention away from? That could also be a possibility too.
I don't know, man. The way I feel about David Grush is I was just like every other person, super excited to hear what he had to say. super excited to see this disclosure thing start happening. And it feels like it hit a soft wall, like you just ran into a bunch of jello, and it just slowed down quickly, but not too quick, and it just petered out. And I appreciate him coming forward and all that stuff, but at the same time, though, he's a whistleblower that hasn't really blown the whistle to the American people. I mean, he's blown it to our representatives, but at the same time, we have no idea what he's provided to them. None. No idea. Mm-hmm. We don't know what's come out, and our representatives aren't telling us what they've found or what they've seen. And I do think that he did do some good stuff here, though, because they're supposed to be declassifying things, and the only person that has no interest in hiding anything, I think, is Department of Homeland Security, because they declassified that Kona Blue Prospective Special Access Program, and that may have been the only thing they've ever had to do with this topic. They probably never had anything else to do with it. And they thought, well, this is what we're supposed to do. We don't want this. Let's just declassify what we have. And are you still there?
Yeah, you kind of cut out for just a second, but I had to cut.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck is going on there. Yeah, so they probably washed their hands of it and said, okay, we'll declassify what little bit we have, and we're not going to have to deal with this anymore. And we can go back to focusing on Department of Homeland Security problems. And that may have been what they did while they declassified it and they just moved on. So I feel like we've gotten something, from him doing that. At the same time, though, we really don't know what he does know, what he doesn't know, if he's part of disclosure, if he's part of a planned disclosure to the American people, or if he was just trying to pave the way for more whistleblowers, or he may just be a complete hack job. Something that I want to point out that David Grush said, and I saw this somewhere. He said he still does consulting for the U.S. government, right? Mm-hmm. So ordinarily, at least from my perspective, they don't just call individuals to do consulting. You got to be a contracted company. You have to, you got to be getting a paycheck somehow, so
yeah,
it's got to be a business.
If you are like a specialist in some knowledge set that you could kind of contract yourself out like that, maybe, but.
Yeah, but you have to, there's certain ways and procedures and stuff to go through to being hired as outside help from the government. They can't just cut a random guy a check. You know what I'm saying? So
right, yeah.
Maybe there's something there. The problem that I have is with him and with Elizondo is it's unclear how their connection to the government is still in, what is intact and how they're doing it and why they're doing it, what it's for. Are they consulting over UFOs? What are they consulting about? I mean, because they both seem very concerned about keeping their security clearances. Which
that was the thing I was going to bring up. Is I think I know at least in the case of Elizondo, but I think in Grush too, he said that he had been cleared to say these things. So if he's cleared to say these things, why now? Why are they just all this thing clearing people to talk about this when they've been murdering people for the past decades and decades?
Well, think about this for a minute, right? Okay, so let's say that you have a secret and it's in a special access program. Even people like Snowden couldn't find out about it. Your average CIA operative isn't going to know about it. Maybe even the heads of some of these intelligence agencies, probably all of the heads of all these intelligence agencies, DOD and everybody, isn't going to know about it. You're being funded and there's no oversight, and you really don't have a boss, to report this stuff to on the top end. And you go and you ask permission to talk about it. Hang on. Damn camera went out for some reason.
Well, let me stop you there, because you say you don't have a boss over you to report it to. You technically do, because the Congress has their gang of six or whatever that's supposed to oversee all this stuff. And while you're not directly reporting to your day-to-day activities, if there's something that's unethical or illegal, you're supposed to, in theory, be able to blow the whistle to them, and they're supposed to act on it and make changes. But
well, here's the thing, though.
How it works.
Yeah, but not if you're in that program. You're not going to do that. You're just not. And the thing is, let me fix this camera. I hate this thing. You know what? I'm going to change my camera. Settings. Well, there we go. That's, at least I have a camera now. What I'm getting at is, let's say that you're. Are we good? Are we on camera? All right.
Yeah,
let's say that you have this super secret program, and people are you're asking permission to talk about it. Well, they're going to give you permission to talk about it because it's not something they know about. They don't even know that it exists. As far as they know, it doesn't exist. So I'll give you permission to say whatever you want about something that doesn't exist. I can't stop you. I can't deny you permission to talk about something that doesn't exist. And that may be where they're at with it. Like they may think that it don't even exist. There's nothing to worry about. There's nothing. There's nothing to talk. There's nothing to talk about. What are you going to do? You're going to blow the whistle on something that doesn't exist? Nobody can stop you from doing that. It's freedom of speech. So he may say, "I've been cleared to talk about this," but you haven't. He hasn't given any details. There's not a single detail in here. Oh, we have
That's
this. We have that.
I was going to talk about, and I even brought up in the later slides, is they've never provided any actionable details, intelligence that anybody could do anything about. Which maybe, I understand why you wouldn't give that to the public, but at least Congress should know about it.
I agree with that. I think that Congress should know about it, but at the same time, though, it doesn't matter if Congress knows about it, and I'll tell you why. They're not going to tell us anything either. Everybody who finds out about it and becomes in the know ends up getting this just gigantic ego because they're in the know about it. They get this huge ego, and that's very apparent because the bill that Chuck Schumer was trying to pass, I believe it had a 25-year disclosure. He'll be dead. I'll probably be dead. I might be dead. Me and you might be dead. I mean, we're going to be in our 60s, maybe 70s, by the time they start disclosing. Most, all the boomers are going to be, but a lot of people are going to be gone, So that's for two reasons: is to keep people from being criminally prosecuted, and it's, they say it's to protect the identities of people. Nobody's asking for anyone's identity, but it does keep people from being prosecuted. And it feels to me like they get this just gigantic ego, oh, now I know about it, so it's one of those things, I think that they just need to come clean. And the longer the government denies that it exists, the more, the less illegal it is to talk about it. Because if they tell you it doesn't exist, they can't arrest you for giving details, They can take your security clearance away, but that's it.
They could come after you and find other reasons to come after you, like that way. But.
Yeah, but that's all they can do. They don't have any other power. They can't say anything else. Sorry, I'm trying to get this camera to work. They can't say anything else about it because it doesn't exist. So you can't be in trouble.
No.
And Grush never saw anything personally himself. So he said that.
That's what he says. Yeah. Yeah, I think not everybody's going to believe it until they, maybe one day at Congress they'll lift the curtain and say, "Here's Alien Bob say hi, Alien Bob, and he'll come up and go, hello. And until that day happens, then we just have to hear, oh, well, I knew a guy that saw a picture of it, or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, until they could show, I don't know, maybe when, I think that's how it starts. Maybe they'll show us a picture of one of the crafts of the beings, and
Or we could do what many people have suggested and find it all ourselves. I mean, apparently the rumors are it's archaeological, that they found some of this stuff. They've found ones that have crashed or landed. You find something like that, don't call the Air Force. Don't call, the government. Get that out to the public first. I mean,
so tagging on that idea, another interesting idea I had, which may or may not be related to this, but the alleged Egyptian artifacts in the Grand Canyon. You've heard that story, right? Like there's some place in the Grand Canyon, if you go find there, it'll be restricted or something. That'd be something to debunk. Or
I want to go. Look, man, I'm one of the most frightened guys you could meet, with doing stuff like grabbing on a rope and climbing down a canyon hundreds of feet in the air. But if there's a possibility that we're going to find Egyptian artifacts in the Grand Canyon, you count me in. I'm going to grab that rope and swing down there.
We could do it. Yeah.
People say that, it's a restricted area, blah, blah, blah. But there was an episode with Josh Gates where they went out there, and then all of a sudden there's helicopters flying around them because they're out there by it. Nobody's spinning up choppers because you're walking near a hole in the Grand Canyon. Yeah. All right. They're touring it.
How that would go. Like, we're just walking down the Grand Canyon and out in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden the helicopters just come out of the middle of nowhere. Like, what the?
Yeah.
Flying over us.
Some colonel's like, did you guys make sure, spin those up and go make sure they don't go in that hole, Okay.
We got some guys trying to go to the hole. Get the choppers up now.
Can you imagine that? Being in the military, can you imagine like your CO coming down or some chief coming out and be like, I need you guys to get boots on the ground and go to that hole in the side of the Grand Canyon and make sure these guys don't go down there.
Yeah. That's so dumb. Like a door, some guy would pop out of and be like, hey, you guys are supposed to be back here.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think there's no way that if that stuff is real, that they would be able to clear all that evidence up. There's no way they'd be able to clear all that evidence up. And if there's something there, we could find it. And I feel like we can locate it too. We'd have to get a better ladder than that caving ladder you and my stepdad went into that pit with. We get something a little better than that and go climb down to it.
Something to repel in there.
Yeah, totally doable. I'll put on a rigger's belt and go down there.
Yeah.
I would love to. As a matter of fact, I would love to do that.
Yeah, that'd be something to check out. That'd be on our bucket list of things. I think there's a few other locations. So the thing I shared to you, I think I told you this, but it was from the Paradigm Institute, which is a nonprofit, and they have Danny Sheehan, who runs it. I don't know if you've seen Danny Sheehan, this guy with curly white hair. His nonprofit is legal representation for whistleblowers like David Grush, and I think he is representing David Grush. And he his institute had a Global Disclosure Day, which all it was 2 hours of people talking. I didn't even see all of it, but he gave this location for what he says is an underground or underwater alien base. He gave the exact coordinates, so that'd be another place to check out. See, are there really UFOs coming out of the water here? If we just sat there in a boat for days and days, would we see UFO pop up? I don't know, but that'd be another one of these things to check out. Something you could really act on and go out there and look for yourself.
We could do something like that, but let me tell you a little secret. Since I do work on ships, it's very expensive to just sit in one place like that. And these vessels, the ones that you would want to take, are going to cost you probably in the realm of 20,000 to 40,000 a day. So they can be very expensive. We'd have to go out there on a sailboat or something like that, and just stay in the area and hope we catch something. But it'd be an expensive expedition to go do. It's completely doable. Like literally, the vessel that I work on has an ROV, a remote operated submarine, that was planned to go down to the bottom of the ocean and prepare to drill the deepest blue water oil well in the world. So, but the possibility is there to be able to explore this stuff. If you had $1 million, if I had $1 million, I would take the boat that I work on and go out there and explore it. I mean, there's nothing stopping you. You know what I mean? It can go easily 10,000 feet deep with the submarine, and I believe that well was going to be 13,000 feet deep. So unless it's deeper than that, we could get to it.
Yeah, I'd really like to see that.
But the problem is that there's no, like, Avi Loeb. I watched his thing with Sean Ryan, and they went and found where a meteor exploded over the top of Earth, and the debris field hit the ocean, and he went and scooped up some of the debris. There was tangible evidence that there's going to be something down there, and it's very difficult to get somebody to fund a dive like that unless there's possibility something's there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Maybe the thing to do would be like to interview people that live by there.
Yes, a good idea. It wouldn't be a bad idea to just go out to like the islands out in the Pacific and just get with like the islanders. They're really cool people, and just interview them.
Ooh.
And just be like, what have you guys seen? You know?
Yeah. So I've been in the middle of watching the new season of Ancient Apocalypse, and he goes to what's the one with the big giant heads and the
Easter Island.
Yeah, he goes there, and he looks at those, and he looks at the stonework, and some of it has the stonework that there's like one spot where they have the specific style of stonework where it looks like the stones were like softened and just set into place, and they hardened, because it looks like it'd be impossible to fit stones like this together. They're so intricate, and they have like all these different angles on it. And he points out, well, that's in that place. It's also in Machu Picchu. There's some in Egypt too. So those would be a great place to go, because
yeah, they have great oral histories in places like that. The story of Rapa Nui, which is Easter Island, I believe their story has to do with they had a lot of trees there before, but they wanted to build these stone heads, and they ended up cutting down all the trees so they could roll these giant stones around, or something like that. And they ended up using up all their resources, so that's why there's no trees on the island. That's, if I remember the story correctly. I could be wrong.
That might be right. I haven't heard that part of it, but he was just kind of speculating on who built them and how long ago. He said you can't date the Eastern Islands heads, but there are places where you can kind of date it, and it goes back thousands of years, at least in some places. So it's kind of like he's kind of speculating that especially these kind of stonework where it looks like the stone has been melted and set together in this way, looks like it came from ancient civilization, like think of like the Atlanteans or something that had they were somewhat advanced and had a cataclysm and restarted society, though we lost that knowledge.
Yeah, I think it would be great to go back and check that stuff out. I don't know. I haven't really studied up on all that stuff, but I will say that Ancient Apocalypse is an awesome show.
Yeah, this new season's really good. I'm probably about halfway through it. We can move on to the next. Of course, we know him. read his book, his book was pretty interesting. He kind of says things along those same lines as Grush. There's a craft retrieval program. He basically kind of backs up what Grush was saying through his ATIP. He basically says ATIP found out the same thing that Grush did. They did kind of go into more how the UFOs work, and Chris Mellon, I think, had somebody that found an equation to explain how they work and how it kind of warps gravity around it, and therefore it can move faster than light because it's warping gravity, and there's some kind of exception to something that does this in this way that it doesn't break Einstein's rule that nothing could go faster than light. One thing which I think he's the one that really talks about this most is, and a thing that I know we don't really like David or Greer here. We don't really like him, but one of the things Greer says is that the Pentagon or the military is going to try to spin up this narrative that they're a threat, and he knows for a fact that they're not a threat. And he says, in fact, the people that are doing the reverse engineering, they're the threat to us and to the aliens, because the aliens, and they said this at Disclosure Day, which I watched part of, that somebody in these deep special programs is taking a microwave beam weapon and shooting down the UFOs with it right now. And he said that this is very dangerous because they're risking starting a war with a more advanced species that doesn't want to go to war with us. And, for all intents and purposes, it seems like, they've been around for a long time and they haven't, as far as we know, killed any of us, or maybe they have in some cases. We've heard in these fringe cases of it happening, but if they were so powerful, why wouldn't they just wipe us out within a day? So it doesn't really seem like they're a threat, but the idea is that maybe they'll spin this up as a threat to get more funding. So we'll all basically be living in poverty while we're handing all our money over to the Pentagon that's fighting this supposed war with aliens, which that's another part of the story is they're going to.
I think that's a bit far, and I'll tell you why I think it's a bit. I'm not a super. Yeah, I'm not a super big conspiracy believer. Right? I believe there's secrets that are kept, and I believe that there's no oversight over some of it. But on the opposite hand, I also don't believe that the government is capable of. Let me say it like this. It's not that I don't believe they're capable of coming up with something like this or implementing it. I think that they're not capable of successfully carrying it out. To successfully carry something out like that, it has to be incredibly convincing. It has to be able to go for a long time, like a decade or more, to fund that. We can't, even 5 years pretending like we're at war with aliens is ridiculous. 2 years is ridiculous. I mean, and you look at things like COVID, right? On one hand, you have COVID and the government's telling you what they're telling you, and then you have your idiot neighbors telling you something. But on the other hand, you have a bunch of American citizens that are doing their own research. They're observing just by living around the virus, what's going on with it and how it works. And we're very intelligent. We can be dumb as a whole, but we're also very intelligent and as a species. So like the civilization, like just the United States of America, we're going to catch on to what's really going on. We're not that stupid. You can get over on us, but you're not going to get over on us, to that scale for that long. It's going to take a lot, and to the point of alien invasions, if we're not seeing a battlefield, if we're not seeing a fight, we're not going to have that problem. Second of all, we can't all live in poverty because, and here's why we can't all live in poverty like that. We won't be able to produce the type of gross domestic product and income and all that kind of stuff. I just don't see that being possible. The other thing is, though, that what I do disagree with Elizondo on is if you say that these things aren't a threat, yeah, maybe they're not a threat of going to war with them, but on the opposite hand, they are a threat to the safety of our pilots in the air, according to Ryan Graves, which is something that he's trying to do, is get pilots to report it. And
yeah, that's his nonprofit.
Yeah, and I think it's great because regardless of whether they're alien UFOs or if they're just Chinese spy balloons or just debris in our atmosphere, it doesn't matter what it is. It's a danger to us. And he said that they had to watch out for these things while they were flying on their operation. So when you think about it like that, it's not like they're just staying well clear of him. He's trying to do what he's allowed to do in international or our national airspace, and is being limited and hampered by objects in the air. So I do think that they are a threat in that regard. Also, I find it real difficult to believe alien abduction stories. I really do. We've got so many of them reported out there. So there's a lot of them, and we can't say that they're not true. We can't say that none of them have happened. So you could take that as you will. Some of that is doing harm to people. That it'd be like lab rats saying that we're not dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if I was a lab rat, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near us if I had our level of intelligence. So it's worth noting that these things could be they could be dangerous, and I disagree with him on that. But I also don't think we need to be shooting them down as a government, but as an American citizen, I want to shoot one down so I can see it. So I think the government needs to hurry up and disclose it to us before I go back and get like a World War I or World War II radar system and set it up in my backyard and start shooting down UFOs. Because it's only a matter of time before somebody with the means to do that. It's only a matter of time before someone like me wins the lottery or the Powerball and decides, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to shoot down a UFO.
What I mean? The way to do that is you start up a CE5 contact group on Facebook, right? You get as many people to say, hey guys, come out. I'm going to have a big C5 group. Everybody if you know how to do this, you've been doing this for a while, come on out, guys. Everybody, I want to get everybody together. And then when they're all doing their thing, then you whip out the radar, go, wow, and get them. Hopefully you can get a UFO falling out of the sky. And then they'll probably be upset at you, but they'll say, well, God.
Well, I've thought of other ways to do it too that would be I don't know if I want to say it on a YouTube video of attracting a UFO, because it would sound it sounds pretty sketchy, but I'll just say it. You get enough people that are into it and that stand behind this, you have them go buy all the smoke detectors humanly possible, right? All the smoke detectors. And the reason why I'm saying smoke detectors is because they release alpha radiation, right? So you get out there, maybe the UFOs will think some nuclear crap's going on and come over to investigate. And that's when you hit them with that World War II radar system. Boom.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess you just have to try all different things. See what works.
Far-fetched. It could work,
Yeah. It's about as likely to work as a bunch of people meditating.
Yeah, exactly. But, I'm telling you, man, you give me $100 million or just like make money on an option and let me win the lottery, and then I'll go do some stupid stuff like that. You know what I mean?
If I was a billionaire, I'd be trying to find out, just like Bigelow. I'd be doing everything I could to find out the aliens, what they look like, and everything I could about them.
We need to take a moment of silence for all the billionaires in America, because they've all flushed their lives down the drain at this point. I mean, because you think about it, you got all these billionaires. Nobody has decided to be Batman. And that's a problem.
No.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, if I was a billionaire, I'd be doing cool shit like that too. I'd hire all the best people to train me. So I know all the martial arts like better than anybody and whoop some ass.
Exactly.
But I'd be trying to find aliens too. If I had billions, I would, they say, a billionaire, you could never spend that much money or need that much money. And you're kind of taking that money out of families' hands that could be using it to feed their children and things. By having that money and hoarding onto it, it could be put back into the economy and being used for things. But if you're going to hold on to that much money, you should at least do something good for society with it. If you're withholding, this money from being in the economy, it should be working and doing something else. And I would be looking for aliens. I know it wouldn't be a popular thing that would get like government funding. I would just use my billions to find out everything I could. And arguably Robert Bigelow, the billionaire who has done that, he may have seen something, because it sounds like he does have some things. If you ever listen to him talk, it sounds like.
I'll tell you what I think, dude. If I had a couple $1 million, I'll just say it like that. If I had $1 million, I probably wouldn't do all that stuff, because I would want to put some aside and invest it. But if I had a couple of $1 million to my name, I would find UFOs on Earth if they exist. Like, there would be nothing to be able to stop me. I think that enough has been said, enough information is out there about these things, about, there's enough information out there that if you have the time and the money and you really don't have any other responsibilities, you could do it. You could find it, and you could find out what's going on, and you just have to have the money and to be able to take the time and buy the things and do the stuff. You could find them. If you had the money, you could find the UFOs. But most people who have that kind of money aren't sitting around thinking that it's a worthwhile cause or worthwhile use of their money, So that's why I say you have to win the lottery, really, to be able to say, okay.
I would go to a fancy bar in D.C. where all the people at the Pentagon hang out. And then I'd try to find somebody who I think knows it, and I'd approach them. I'd say, I'd like to hire you as a private investigator. I want you to find out the truth find out the truth. But in truth, I'll pick somebody that already knows the truth, somebody that already seen it. And so I'll find some guy that, I say, hey, I pay you good money. I'm rich. I'm loaded. Just find me the truth. Give me a picture of it. Just give me one picture of it, at least. And, be on your way. And somebody must, hopefully I'll get to somebody. I'll hang out there. I'll hang out wherever, how they have that airliner that drops off people at Area 51. I'll try to get those.
You're talking
people.
About you hang out at the bar in Rachel, Nevada.
Yeah, I'd hang out there. I get people there too. I'd just be in there all day, just trying to find who I think knows, and then
you're gonna be on one of those emails they send out. Hey, don't trust this guy. Stay away from him. He's asking crazy questions. He's offering money.
Yeah.
Think about your security clearance. Think about your children and little Timmy. The truth is that if you want to find this stuff. If you want to find this stuff, it would require a lot of investigation. But the thing is most of the investigation that you can do is legal. You're not allowed. That's
what they say, right? Enough's been put out there that if we really paid attention to everything that's been said by Mr. Elizondo or Grush, we should be able to find out something concrete.
Yeah, we would be able to. The only thing is that they could move it. It could change. Some of his information's 10, 15 years old. If you read the Kona Blue program, if you read it, it literally says that this was in 2013. They were looking at one of the sites they were going to go to is a place that has been known for the past 15 years to have high traffic area for UFO or UAP sightings. It would not be difficult to go back and look at the history of places and narrow it down. You could, at bare minimum, narrow it down to where they're trying to go and look for these things. It would not be hard to do, but you have to have the ability to take the time off work and just only dedicate to that, and that's why I say it takes some money, because you need some money, you'd need the right equipment, you'd need people who are willing to help or to be there. You can't just do it all on your own. It'd be very difficult to do it all on your own. You could uncover facts.
That's kind of what Tom DeLonge did. Say what you want about Tom DeLonge, but he used his money. I think he used his own personal money for his little To the Stars Project Academy, and he was trying to he had Chris Mellon, Elizondo, the people that were in the know. Yeah, Harry Reid. He was talking to Harry Reid. Yeah, he was trying to do it. He was fighting the good fight for us. But
I agree. I think he did what he should have done for something he believed in. I feel like I'm just going to be honest with you. I'll be honest with everybody, really. I don't think that the right way to do it is to go through the proper channels. I think that there's only two ways you can do this. There's to go through it and investigate on your own and find it out in the wild, which is totally legal and totally okay. The other way to do it is to investigate the government as a private detective and find out what they're doing. That one, you may run into some legal trouble along the way, so there's only two ways to do it. If you have enough money, you don't have to do it the second way. You can go your own way, gather the data from the unclassified skies and seas. You can gather that. You can make observations and scientific discoveries in archaeological discoveries or whatever you think that they've done. The fact of the matter is, a Chinese spy balloon made it halfway across America before anybody even in the government even reported it. They say they knew about it. But if they knew about it, yeah, it's embarrassing. Yeah, exactly. And that wasn't the only thing. They started shooting down UFOs left and right, after that, just to prove to the American people, hey, we're watching the sky. Are you, though? Because, there's no way in hell I'm going to allow an adversarial balloon to fly over the United States and do whatever it was doing, on purpose. There's no reason that I'm going to do that on purpose. So you look at it like that and you think, well, okay, is it really that difficult to outdo the U.S. government in investigating this stuff? They have a lot of other things on their plate. You know what I'm saying? And, the black budget money there's only so much of it, and they're going to have a hard time moving forward, keeping that in their pockets and getting it allocated now that people are realizing that some of this stuff is spent on things that we need to have oversight of, regardless of whether it's UFOs or whatever. They're going to realize there's a lot of stuff we don't have oversight of this money, and that we need it. So you can go toe to toe with the U.S. government on being able to make scientific discoveries, and things like that. You can go toe to toe with them on that and outpace them. So I recommend that direction forward. For anybody who's listening to this, I don't recommend that you go start trying to investigate secret government facilities and things like that. That's not going to yield you the results. You know what I'm saying? I think that the results are going to be yielded by us going out and gathering the data and compiling it and finding out where to look and looking. So.
Right. Yeah. Like those coordinates that Danny Sheehan made, but hopefully something that's not underwater, something that's more accessible. But
it is accessible. Like I said, the ship that I work on right now can go that deep and look at stuff. So it just requires the funds to do it. And I wouldn't need them.
Get very expensive.
Yeah, exactly.